Kawhi Leonard traded to Toronto. DeMar DeRozan, and Adnan is from Toronto, so he's a fan of the Raptors, gets traded down to San Antonio. What do you think?
I mean, I was refreshing trying to get the details on the way over here. Look, I think it's great for one reason. It kind of wraps up the storylines now. We can start focusing on the season, and I want to see him play. So if this is what's going to be, let's just get him on the court. The NBA is better when Kawhi Leonard's playing. I don't care where at this point. I just want him back and playing. So I'm very curious.
Jerry, DeRozan's a very good player, but he's not a great player. Kawhi Leonard, we know at his peak, is a top 5 player in the game. And this is an enormous move, I feel, for the Raptors. I still think Boston's the best team in the East, but Toronto now is a solid number 2, at least in my opinion. You?
Yeah, they're certainly pushing in.
Why are they talking about all that other stuff? Let's talk about your Knicks.
Segue. Wow, that was fast.
Why are we because we've been talking about we've been talking about Toronto, we've been talking about San Antonio, we've been talking about this.
Kevin Knox.
The Knicks, the Knox. So, did you get a chance? What did you think about the draft pick? Fizdale, good friend of mine. Do you think that it's starting to turn the corner a little bit? How do you feel as a true Knick fan?
As a true Knick fan, I really wanted Fizdale because I do believe that he comes in and immediately gets the guys playing a certain way. I don't know if it's going to lead to playoffs in year one. I think it's going to be a little bit of an uphill battle, but I love the Fizdale hire. As a guy who's been to Summer League and watched every minute of every play of Knicks Summer League, I'm really excited about Knox, really excited about Mitchell Robinson. Yeah. I think it's going to be an interesting year. Like, I think they're going to be a little frisky. Obviously, KP might not be back till who knows when. I hope they take that nice and slow. Yeah. I'm excited for the future. I know this is not something you hear Knick fans say often, but I'm excited for the future.
But it's good to also hear an intelligent Knick fan say, I hope they take that slow.
Yes.
If you know if KP is out a year, chances of making the playoffs, chance of making noise, but you can still move in the right direction. You get a lot of development, similar to Boston. Boston had 2 guys go down with injuries, and it allowed for the development of Jaylen Brown, of Tatum. It allowed for development. So now when you bring those guys back, these other guys got a jump start on their development. So it's okay. You get some points knowing that you know what you're talking about.
My only concern about Fizdale did not have a strong relationship with a European big man there in his previous relationship. So much of this is tethered to how well he gets along with Porzingis. That has to work for him.
And the reason why I love Fizdale is he owned up to that. Right. And he said, I could have done better with that. That's on me. So, I mean, that already has me feeling good. He's going to go out there to see my man, which makes me very, very happy. Yeah. I think, look, like I said, it's going to be a little bit of an uphill battle. You know, rookies will make mistakes. It's going to be tough. But I think they're going to be frisky this year. Yeah.
I want to ask you about something completely different. Change topics, but you can sort of bring a unique perspective to something we talked about earlier. So there's this conversation about how Mike Trout, who is the best baseball player in the world, he's like Mickey Mantle reincarnate. And baseball is often criticized for not making him a bigger star. And the commissioner, I think, in a defensive way, came out and said, look, it takes 2 to tango here. He's got to want to be a star. At the height of Entourage, at the height of on a super popular show like Power, and you've been around some ridiculously famous people, you know, it seems to me that maybe there's such a price to be paid for that kind of fame that there might be a part of a guy like Mike Trout that doesn't want any part of that. Can you speak a little bit to that, to the notion of when you are that level of famous, and very few athletes get to be that. People on hit TV shows do. When you are that level of famous, the way it impacts your life.
Well, I always looked at it, in the acting world anyway, I always felt that there's people who are actors because they do want that. They want that level of fame. Then there's guys and girls who just want to act because that's what they love, and that's a byproduct of what happens. And I think if you look at Trout in a similar way, like if that's not something that he wants, or even like, again, it's not something that you could like work toward. Like, how do I get more famous? You can make a plan. People are so with it right now, and if it feels forced, I think it would have an adverse effect. Like, I didn't really get that whole thing. Like, I think he's doing just fine, and what does he need, more PR? I don't know if that's the answer.
Here's the problem, Jerry. Baseball is a great sport. It does great locally, but nationally it does not resonate the way it used to. It's a problem when you ask the average polls in these ESPN fan polls, name a baseball player, and the first person they're saying is Derek Jeter. So I get what you guys are saying. Trout has to be true to himself, but baseball's going to do a better job of marketing these guys. If not Trout, then Scherzer, Rizzo, Bryant, someone.
I agree, but look, there's just some players that it's a little easier maybe to market for. You know, they do Fortnite dances. They do. There's just
Bryce Harper has a Stars and Stripes bandana at the home run derby.
Baseball, if you stare at the ball a little
Right.
bit too long, someone's going to throw a 95-mile-an-hour fastball at you. So they're not doing Fortnite dances.
Yeah, I don't know if
I'm
it's
with
like a Mike Trout thing, like to put the onus on him of like, you should be more popular and it would help baseball if you were. I don't know if that's
But can
really
you just
fair.
give a sense? Because I mentioned it earlier, and I covered Michael Jordan at the height of his fame, so I've seen it. And
Yeah.
you played with LeBron James, so you've seen it.
Yeah.
A guy like Mark Wahlberg, I'm just trying to think of someone that you've probably been around a lot. When that guy wants to go out for dinner with his kids or go to a movie, you're not living life the way people normally. Everyone assumes that being that level of famous would be fabulous. And look, I'm not suggesting you should feel sorry for these guys, but it does come with a significant price, right?
Yeah, and I think that it's something that, again, I obviously can't come close to speaking on that level. That's a whole
But you
different
see it.
thing.
If you go out for dinner with Mark Wahlberg, I have to imagine that like you have to make all kinds of arrangements
I don't think
before
it's,
you
yeah, it's
walk
not just
in.
going to dinner. It's not saying like, I could be like, hey, let's go grab a beer and go have a burger. And
Right.
it's pretty easy, like maybe a few people here or there. But yeah, no, it's like an event, I guess. Like you have to really plan around it. But all I'll say too is even on my small level, it never works when you want to. Got pulled over last week. Like, all right, let's see what happens. How you doing, officer? No, it didn't work. Tickets, everything. It didn't work.
Now, before we get to the show, let's just get one take from you on my pet peeve issue.
Okay.
And that is super teams. Okay, I'm done with it. I mean, there are not enough great players, and like you, I'm a lifelong Knicks fan, but that isn't even the point here. The point is that if you just keep taking all of the best players and putting them on 4 different teams, at some point, the law of diminishing returns has to take effect. What is your take on super teams?
Look, personally, as a fan, I don't love to watch non-competitive games. I just want to see 7-game series. And it's hard to say because, look, that Rockets-Warriors series was great. And game 1 of that Cavs-Warriors series was one of the best games I've ever watched. So, yes, there was a super team involved, and they did what we all said in the beginning of the year is going to happen. I think it was a unique situation that allowed it to happen.